And I'm coming at you with another exciting video. So, Judge Bandoh, hopefully I'm saying it right, she get to overhear a case where the gentleman has lost his French toast mind. So, put it in context. The cops attempt to go to his house to do a search warrant, provide a search warrant. And I'm not sure if he was wheelchair bound then, but as you see in the video, he's wheelchair bound now. And this job turkey jumps out the wheelchair. Well, I can't say he was in the wheelchair. I just say I don't know if he was in the wheelchair. But he tries to bite one of the cops' ear off. Oh, this fool went full action, full wheelchair action. Or maybe feet action. They put his ass in the wheelchair if he wasn't in the wheelchair because he sure sitting in the wheelchair. And he lost his everlasting mind. Now, this is not a long case, but I definitely want to bring this and present this because, like the cop said, he's been a cop with the Clayton County Police Department for 6 years. And that was his training that almost got Mike Tyson. Well, Evander Holyfield, because Mike Tyson was the one who did the biting. But some people just out there everlasting mind. That's what we say back in the days when you out your everlasting mind, and that's what he was out. But nevertheless, let's dive into the video, and we'll be back in the end to give our last.
That's Mr. Thornton, right at the jail?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right. Stay in Mr. Lane, you all ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the state of Georgia versus Tykevius Wayne Thornton in warrant numbers 2024 CW 71489, 71490, and 71491. All parties are present and have announced ready to proceed. Ms. Payne, you can begin.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would call officers Cesar Garcia to the stand. Officer Garcia, can you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Can you state your name, please, sir?
Detective Garcia,
And where do you work, sir?
Clayton County Police Department.
How long have you worked there, sir?
6 years.
Did you work there back on May 15th of this year?
Yes.
Did you receive a call from dispatch that day?
Yes.
Where did you respond to, sir?
Highway 85 and Martha Street in Clayton County.
And what did you respond in reference to, sir?
Vehicle accident with fatality.
And what did you do when you got there, sir?
When I first responded, I was assisting in the investigation for the vehicle accident. And then I transported Mr. Thornton to the hospital so he can receive medical attention. While at the hospital, Officer Timmett was getting a blood search warrant. And while we were executing the search warrant, Mr. Thornton began to fight us and resist. He was belligerent. He was irate towards the medical staff and us to the point where medical staff had to sedate him. While they were trying to sedate him, he was trying to bite my trainee. And then once he was sedated, he was sedated.
And you said once you were trying to get the search warrant that he attempted to bite your training officer?
Yes.
Okay. Was he able to get contact to bite him?
No. No, he was attempting to bite him while we were holding him down for medical staff. As we walked away, he was able to grab a syringe and fling it at my trainee.
And you just say that after he threw the syringe at the same training officer or a different one?
No, the same one.
Same one. All right. And uh, thank you, sir. No further question, or actually one question. Do you see the man on the Zoom platform today that you were called out to investigate an action for and attempted to bite your training officer, refused to follow your commands?
Yes, he's wearing a green jumpsuit and a wheelchair or a chair.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
I have a question. Did you say if he was a driver or a passenger?
He was a driver of the vehicle.
Okay. Mr. Lane?
Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
What injuries did Mr. Thornton suffer in the accident?
He had no visible injuries at the time.
Okay. So you're taking him to the hospital though?
We took him to the hospital because he had complaints of back pain, but there was no visible injuries.
Okay. And let's see. Was he, when you brought him, I assume he's handcuffed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said he was in a wheelchair?
He's in right now. He's in a
No,
chair.
like in the hospital during the incident.
Yes, we had him in a wheelchair.
And he's handcuffed.
Yes.
Okay. Was he being restrained any other way?
No.
Did you attempt to question him?
No. He was cussing us out the whole time and being irate.
And how was it again that he was able to get a syringe if he's handcuffed and seated in a wheelchair?
So, like I had said, we were getting him to a bed because the medical staff was trying to sedate him because he was being really irate. Once he was restrained in the bed, after he was getting sedated, he was able to grab the syringe from the bed that the medical staff left.
All right. Thank you, officer. I don't have any further questions.
Why was he in custody, Detective Garcia?
We believe that he was under the influence. So he refused implied consent, so we obtained a blood search warrant. Well, Officer Timmett did.
So I'm trying to get the first part established. It was an accident, and you or the other officer arrived at the scene, and you have suspicions that he may have been intoxicated. Then, so when he refused, was he placed under arrest? Is that what happened?
Correct. No, well,
So
no. He was detained at the time until he actually started resisting and fighting us. At that time, then he was in custody.
So that's my question. So he was in custody and detained on the side of the road, or I'm trying to see how he got to the hospital. When was he placed under arrest?
He was placed under arrest at the scene.
Okay, and then what was he placed under arrest for at the scene?
I believe it was for the suspicion of the DUI because I believe they were doing standardized field sobriety tests on him at the time.
So he wasn't charged with DUI? Because I don't see the charge. That's why all of this is confusing.
Right. So my case number is separate from the original case number. So it's two different cases.
Okay. All right. Any questions based on my questions from either attorneys?
Yes, Your Honor. Detective Garcia, when you were responded out, you said you responded out because there was a fatality involved with this accident.
Yes.
What do you know what the cause of the accident was?
It's still under investigation. So I really can't speak on that one just yet.
Okay. But the suspicion for this defendant was that he was driving under the influence that contributed to this accident.
Correct.
And you said that there's a completely separate case number with a separate officer that was doing the field sobriety test for him?
Yes.
And, thank you, no further questions.
All right, any redirect, Mr. Lane?
No, Your Honor.
All right, any other witnesses on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor, the state would rest.
All right, Mr. Lane, any evidence on behalf of the defendant?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and I'm assuming, Ms. Payne, you're waiving your right to open your closing?
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor.
All right, Mr. Lane, I hear from you.
Just briefly, Your Honor, we request a dismissal of the simple assault and obstruction charges just based on the officer's testimony in the report that my client was involved in a violent auto accident, and clearly that could cause someone to be in shock. Even if there aren't any visible, noticeable injuries, he was complaining of back pain to the point where they felt it necessary to bring him to the hospital, and clearly he was acting not normal, and so this would all lead one to conclude that he was suffering and in pain and in shock. And so then any actions afterward, he wouldn't have had the intent to create any kind of assault towards the officers or to resist had he been in his right mind. And just looking at the facts here, he wasn't. And so we just request a dismissal of both warrants. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Payne?
Your Honor, the state would contend that we have met our burden for probable cause to show that he did obstruct the officer and did two simple assaults for trying to bite the detective's trainee and then throwing a syringe at the detective's trainee, and that the detective actually testified to that the defendant was under suspicions of driving under the influence and intoxicated when all this occurred in the accident, and refused to obey his lawful commands. And case law is clear that being intoxicated doesn't negate intent or consent in that regard. So the state would ask that you do find that there is probable cause for the obstruction, simple assault, and just bind it up to the state court.
After hearing testimony in this matter, the court does find sufficient probable cause for each of the charges, and the case will be bound over to state court. This matter is adjourned. Thank you, Officer Garcia.
Thank you.
All right, next up is State of Georgia versus Ricky Wolf.
All right, so thank you all who has tuned into this video. You know, my mom used to always say, now sometimes I say it in videos. I do so many videos. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. People be putting in the comments, you said this, I agree with it. You said that, I didn't agree with it. I just be rambling sometimes. I'll be rambling, but it does make sense. And I'm about to make a lot of sense. Getting in trouble, it doesn't matter what state, you know, because we do United States. I don't primarily do other countries. Primarily, I'm doing the United States. Some people are like, United States, y'all don't have passports. But do people realize that the United States, for example, is 40 times larger than the UK? We are 40 times larger than the UK. You can't even compare the UK to the United States. The UK is about the size of Oregon, actually. Alaska is 7 times larger than the UK. So when people are like, oh, the United States, y'all don't have passports. A lot of us don't. A lot of us don't even like the food in other countries. Some of the food be bland looking, right? But I'm just bringing in hindsight. You know, I don't even know why I even brought that up. But in hindsight, I do primarily the United States videos on this channel. And I can tell you this. Trouble is easy to get into. And it's hard to get out of. How my mama used to say it. Trouble is easy to find, but hard to get out. Something like that. She used to say it in some capacity like that. But what I'm saying is, once you get into the charlotte web of crime, I'm not talking about a parking ticket, something that's a civil matter, you could pay it. But why are you trying to assault a cop the cops and the judges are going to be on one accord if the cop did everything by the book. If the cop didn't do everything by the book, they can't align themselves. And that's just the way it is. But once you get into the Charlotte's web of crime, it's a sticky situation. It's almost impossible to get out of. But nonetheless, this is Antonio with Team Tiggio. Please like, comment, subscribe, as we're going to keep dropping great videos to you. Hit the notification bell. You can support the channel through Cash App, Super Chat. And once again, we'll see you